Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Blueprint. Today we have Pete with RoofR. Pete, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and obviously we have the famous Lester. Lester, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. Really going to enjoy this one.
Good. So, Pete, let's just start off. Tell us a little bit about RoofR.
Yeah, I mean, RoofR is we started out as a measurement company. That's what we're most known for. That's kind of how we became a household name in the roofing industry, and that's evolved over time. Now we're more of an all-in-one solution. We continue to add more and more functionality pretty much by the day. At this point, we started building a CRM about about a year and a half ago, I guess, is when we really started to look into the CRM market, and our users were asking for it, and some of the other tools that we had kind of warranted that. So we started to build a CRM and kind of started to move in this direction of an all-in-one solution for the contractor. So the ultimate goal, the North Star for us, is to do as much as you possibly can in our software, not have to have multiple platforms to do that, and be able to do it affordably and pretty efficiently and cheap, simply, right? Like that's the biggest thing for us, is that we want to keep it simple, straightforward, easy to use, and really cater to the masses and allow, anybody, whether you're, someone that's been in business for 15 years or someone that's been in business for 15 minutes, you can easily use the software either way.
So tell us a little bit about what makes you guys simple. There's a ton of CRMs out there. What makes you guys simple? What separates you from all the other CRMs out there who pitch to customers?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is that it's always kind of been simplicity, right? From the very beginning, like our measurements, we tried to make them, affordable. We tried to make a low barrier of entry so anyone could kind of come in and use them. And so we've kind of tried to maintain that theme as we've moved forward into the CRM. And it's just, not to overcomplicate it, we do a tremendous amount of customer research before we, build or design any feature. And a lot of the feedback that we get is, hey, I don't need all of this crazy, convoluted stuff and stuff that's going to make this very cumbersome for my team to use. Like my team's very simple. They just need something that's straightforward. And so we take a lot of that into consideration when we build these features, and we've really focused on keeping it very straightforward, very easy to use, very visually appealing, very easy to maneuver through the product. And that's been the biggest kind of, I would say, the biggest feather in our cap. When I talk to contractors, the first thing they always say is, we switched to you guys because it's just so easy. It's just so easy for my team to learn it. It's just so easy for us to set it up. And these are all things that we worked very hard to continue to do every time we add a feature. Obviously, like the more features you add, the more, complex the situation gets. But we always keep that in mind every time we're adding a feature is, how can we do this, make it super usable, but also make it very easy for it to get implemented, and get it up and running for your team. So, that's always been a focus of ours. And just, I would say that the biggest thing that sets us apart is just how quickly you can get up to speed and your team can get up to speed. Like I think traditionally it's been, let's say 60, 90 days probably on average, right, Lester, to kind of get a CRM, in place, get everybody trained, get all the information into it. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is how quickly you can get using the software. Like I had a contractor tell me the other day, I signed up for it. I didn't go to any of my trainings. I built the entire thing myself, and it runs perfectly. And I was able to find everything and understand it easily. Like it led me down the path of telling me what I needed to do next. And so, we really we pride ourselves on that, and one of the things that we really focus on is, one of the things that we really focus on is keeping it that way, making it so that when we bring somebody new on, we put together an implementation team. We have a team of people that their entire job is just to help you get set up. So, they're getting with you. They're making sure you got all the appropriate information. They're helping you build templates and catalogs and all these things that, traditionally you were kind of left on your own to figure all that out and load all that stuff. We got a team of people who are holding your hand through that whole process, getting you going, and it's all included in coming aboard with RoofR. So, it's great if you can leverage it, coming in. So, but yeah, that's been the biggest focus really is, how do you build obviously a software that's fairly complex, and keep it fairly simple, right, and straightforward to use. So obviously, as you add things, it gets more and more difficult, but it's something that the team does a really good job with.
Yeah, that's the thing that I hear time and time from the contractors that I come across that are either using or looked at RoofR. It's just super simple at the end of the day, right? And that's what you guys been able to capture. But I think the thing that really kind of separates you guys apart is it's not kind of, that's what it is. You guys are a measurement company and the CRM. So traditionally, you had to take your CRM, connect it with the measurement company, and then there's just more steps. Maybe not a lot, but there's always more steps to get that measurement to then apply to the estimate that's in the CRM. With you guys, it's seamless. You guys are both. So
Yeah.
kudos to you guys. I think you guys are the only ones kind of doing it that way so far. So, I mean, you're leading the way. But for the contractors that I'm coming across that are using you guys, it's so easy. My measurement, I hit a couple buttons, it goes right into the estimate, and I present the proposal. And that's what the folks are looking for.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really helped us is that we kind of reverse engineered it. Like if you look at the other CRMs, they more or less built the foundational CRM, and then they've added the tools, whether that be via integration, whether that be via building it themselves, and then they've evolved those over time. And we did it completely the opposite. We essentially built the tools, and now are building the foundational CRM that brings it all together. And so by doing that, it allowed us to build very strong tools in some of the very key areas like measurements, proposals, payments and financing, like those type of things that could essentially be their own standalone tool if they wanted to. Instant estimator, which is something that's unique to us for the most part from a CRM standpoint. These are all tools that existed prior to the CRM coming into play. And it allowed us to kind of like back into the CRM as opposed to trying to build all these things into the CRM after the fact. So it's allowed us to have a stronger platform altogether out of the box, because of these things are already in place. And then it allows the team to just go in and just continue to evolve them and make them better and better.
Yeah. Let's talk about your team and your growth. You guys have been growing like a weed,
Yeah.
right? From the number of employees to money raised to what you're after. Can you talk a little bit about that since you came aboard with RoofR and what that growth is looking like and what you guys are after as far as 2025?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for us, I think, was when we decided to go down the path of CRM, right? Because it's traditionally the way you build a CRM is, you build a feature and then you move on to the next feature, and you end up with a lot of mediocre features because you're having to just keep moving. And one of the things that we've done really well, we brought in a VP of product who's done a fantastic job setting the team up. And part of that was to grow the team substantially. So we do all of our dev work in-house. We don't outsource any of it. So we have all of our own product managers, all of our own dev guys in-house building the product, which gives us the ability to manage it really closely and pivot really fast and things like that. But what it's done is it's allowed us to build these teams inside that keep the product forging forward, features all independently, right? So proposals has its own team that continues to build proposals and evolve proposals on a daily basis, while CRM and financing and supplier catalog and all these things are simultaneously moving forward. So the whole product continues to get better every day. And in order to do that, it's taken a lot of people, right? So we've been lucky enough to have some financial backing come to us a couple times, through some raises. And that's allowed us to really inject a ton of employees, some really, really talented people at a lot of different levels of the business. And I mean, I think I'm about to be here 4 years, and I think we've gone from like in the 20s of employees to like probably about 150 employees. So massive growth in a short amount of time, and we continue to just excel. Like with the people that we're just finding some outstanding people. I mean, that's one of the things too. If you ask a lot of contractors, why they come to RoofR, they'll tell you it's because of the people. It's because of the support, the customer support I get and the people that I deal with, and the fact that I know I can pick up the phone and call somebody. And I'm going to get them and they're going to make something happen, has been huge. And so with that in mind, like our CEO Richie has a sign that's on the wall behind him when you get on a meeting with him that says, do things that don't scale. Right. And essentially set yourself up for, you do think you treat it as if you're not going to scale it. Right. And so one of the things that we've done is obviously focused really heavily on that customer support and that customer success feel and customer first feel. And it's been a huge asset to us and continues to be. And it's something that I think we will never move away from, that kind of like world-class support. So in order to do that, you got to have the people in place. And so we continue to evolve the teams and grow them. And yeah, I mean, I think we'll see another substantial, group of people coming in. I think we had Monday morning meeting, we had 10 new people start. So we're continuing to grow into 2025 and, we'll just continue to inject people into it, I'm sure. And as things evolve. And so, yeah, it's definitely continue to move in the right direction. So 2025 will be a big year for us from a development standpoint and also from, just a growth standpoint, both, as a product and also, just as an employee count, because we just have some big things, we're evolving the product pretty substantially. So, looking to open the door to cater to some more folks. I mean, we've, traditionally we've catered to the smaller roofer because that's kind of was our bread and butter, obviously with the measurements and things like that. So, but now we're in a position where we can evolve the product to open the door to some larger companies and some more tech savvy companies. So, probably see a lot of features in regards to that coming in 2025. But, obviously we'll always keep in mind that we want to keep it simple and straightforward so anybody can use it.
That's right.
So that's a great transition then. I'm going to bring up a word that's a little taboo, but AI in this industry, there's no avoiding it. And obviously with the CRM that you're building, it's probably more prevalent than ever. What is AI to you is the first question. Second, how are you incorporating AI into your company? And how are you making sure your employees are able to adjust to that transition? Because it's happened really fast and it's only going to continue to happen really fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love the idea of it. I think that, I've looked into it a bunch, and obviously with regards to the CRM, there's just so many different opportunities inside of a CRM to employ AI, machine learning, those type of things, can really, really help to streamline the operation. I think the biggest advantage is that AI is going to give us from the CRM standpoint is making it very efficient to process the data and understand the data, and also to streamline things, right? And improvements, like to be able to improve what we're doing from a process standpoint. The AI will be able to be so intuitive that it'll help us to make faster improvements and, clean things up quicker and find areas of opportunity better. So I think there's I think there's some really cool stuff that can happen with AI in the CRM space specifically. On a personal note from our end, like internally, we've started to employ AI because it helps us to streamline our operation as far as like dealing with customer feedback and being able to better understand customer interviews and things like that. So we're starting to employ AI even internally to help us process the information and the data coming in so that we can more efficiently turn it into feature updates and, new features and just figuring out like, where do we go next with the roadmap? So yeah, lots of AI stuff going on. And like you said, it's unavoidable. It's definitely going to be a huge part of this industry. I think even from a measurement standpoint, it's probably going to come into play here eventually, to have AI involved. So yeah, I think it's just something that, like you said, it's unavoidable at this point. It's everywhere. So, how can you best utilize it? How can we best leverage it is just where we're at now, trying to figure it out.
And I think you bring up a good point about, look, especially as salesmen, roofing salesmen, exterior modeling salesmen, the one thing you can't make more of is time. And time is everything in this industry. We all wish we had more time throughout the day, and we just don't. Take this podcast, for example. When I'm putting Instagram reels and shorts out there, we use an AI software that, look, I don't have time to sit there through the entire podcast and pick little sections out. So I have a software, an AI software that tells me, hey, you should use this clip to put on your social media. This is what the clip should say. You can obviously adjust it, and these are the hashtags you should use. And it saves me a lot of time. Like I did the hard work of editing and bringing on the guests and talking. All it's doing is saving me time, saving me energy. And like you said, the important word to me is streamlining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I think people, when they hear AI too, they instantly think, oh, I'm going to be replaced. But that's not what it's about. We have to use it as a tool. You still have to feed the AI in order for it to get to do what you need it to do. Right. So it's not necessarily going to replace you. So you just got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in the AI world. And then you really start to see the benefits of how it's helping your day to day, minute by minute, second by second. And so much productivity is happening at the end of the day. So I think we just all have to really embrace it. I know here at CR3, again, we'll go internally. We just introduced an AI bot that basically, for any one of our franchisees or their employees, if there's a question, you can go to that bot, and it's essentially kicking out a question or an answer that's tailor fit to a CR3 response and a way of doing things. So we're already starting to implement that into our franchise system. And next steps are, how do we fit that into our customer experience, right? So you just have to be open-minded. You have to embrace it and understand it's not here to replace us. It's here to help us at the beginning and end of the day.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, Matt, from a salesperson point of view, I think the biggest advantage right off the bat in roofing is going to be on the sales end of it, right? The ability to, look at leads and score those leads and profile those leads out better, to know where we need to focus our energy, to be able to communicate with those customers now via AI, so that I don't have a human being having to pick up the phone and call. I can be more proactive. I can be quicker to get to customers. We always talk about speed to lead, like how quickly are you getting to those customers and how quickly are you communicating what they want to know. And now you can have an AI bot trained to essentially go through, all the profiling questions, all of the questions that they're probably going to ask up front, scheduling appointments, all these things that AI can do for us now to kind of streamline that process. Like call centers, I think, is probably one of the first things that we'll see more or less fade away for the roofer and be replaced by AI that can do it,
Yeah.
So it's like, I think on the sales end of things is where it's really going to be prevalent right away. But I think ultimately on the back end, it's going to be the most helpful in analyzing and filtering your data and, just helping us have better insight.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, customers really want three things. They want the information, right? The quote, exactly how much they're going to have to pay for a new roof. They want speed, right? They want to just get it as quickly as possible so they can discuss it. But the third thing that's important is they still want that interaction with the salesman. So like Lester said, it's not going to replace us. They don't want to have to deal with an AI salesman, but they will want the quote faster, and they will want the speed. And so the AI is going to make two of those three really easy. And then the third one is what the salesman can focus on, is the interaction, which that's what people get into sales for. They don't get into sales to put quotes together. They want that interaction to sell the job. And so Lester, that's again, important. AI is not going to be replacing salesmen, but it is going to make all of our lives a lot easier as customers, as salesmen, and then obviously Pete on your side for the actual development of your company.
Well, and the reality of it is like when you're selling a roof, right? We're all selling the same product and we're all essentially installing it the same. Let's hope anyway, right? Fairly close to the same, right? And so really, what are we selling?
Chuck ain't installing that thing, right?
Tank Talk Tommy's not doing it the same way, but but for the most part, any reputable company is doing it fairly similar. So what makes us stand out? It's really, we're selling trust, right? We're selling the fact that they trust us, and that's always going to need, a human interaction, right? To be able to really understand who I'm working with and me to feel comfortable with you being on my house or in my house, whether it's, whatever the home improvement project is, and, just being around it. And so that's ultimately that human interaction, I think, is a piece of our industry that will always be there, right? Like you said, like you can't, we're never going to replace that trust factor with AI. But, there are some things I think that, obviously they say now that I think someone said to me the other day, 70%, a customer is 70% or 70% of customers are sold before they actually pick up the phone and call you. So they've essentially done all that research ahead of time, and they've kind of like built that trust almost in you ahead of time. So it's more or less like when they pick up that phone and call you now, it's a completely different conversation than it was, say, 5 or 10 years ago. And, they've essentially sold themselves, and now it's just a matter of you getting that trust factor there so that they'll, close the deal. But, it's not like you have to sell them like we used to have to. It's the dog and pony show days. I don't think are really there much anymore because they're doing it all themselves. They can do all that research. Everything's at their fingertips. They don't necessarily have to have you sit at the kitchen table as much as you used to. But like you said, there's still that face-to-face interaction that says like, hey, I still want to know who I'm working with. I still want to feel comfortable with this guy because he's going to be in and around my biggest investment. So,
Right.
Yeah, and I like where it's go. There's nothing more annoying when you call your credit card company or you call your pharmacy and you get that automation that says, in a few short words, tell us what you need.
yeah.
And then you're screaming, customer service, talk to a representative. And I think AI is sort of will that instead of having to talk to an automation, it's just going to connect us right to where we need to go so we can get face to face with the customers at their kitchen table.
Yeah, it's happening, and the buyer experience is warranting it. The buyers in the next 5 years are going to be completely tech savvy and be looking at using the stuff. And if you're not using the stuff, you're way behind. All right, so last call here, Pete. I know you and I are super infatuated with workflow. Something for the people to think about in 2025 and innovation and workflow, and just leave the people with something that's top of mind.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, from my standpoint, the biggest thing is never stop improving, right? Like, I think no matter how good you think your process is, there's always something you can do to improve your process, right? There's always a tweak you can make. Back in my manufacturing days, I was in boat manufacturing, and we did a lot of stuff with Lean Six Sigma, and it's continuous process improvement. And there's no stop really to like the level of granularity that you can go to. I mean, we used to analyze how many steps it took a person to complete a task. Like, so you can continue to go more and more granular. So no matter how streamlined and how good you think your process is as a company, there's always another opportunity somewhere in there. And so I would challenge everybody to just take another look, right? Like, take another look at your process. And, and one of the things that I've been preaching a lot lately is everybody focuses on sales. Like, even if you look at, these conferences like RoofCon and those type of places, and you go, 90% of the breakout sessions that you go to are going to be about how to sell more and how to empower your sales team more. And we kind of, like, production has become like this redheaded stepchild that nobody looks at, right? And it's like, take a look. I say, like, work from the middle out, right? Like, take a look at your production process first and really get that dialed in. So if you haven't taken the time to really streamline that and dial that in, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you can sell all you want, but if you have this giant bottleneck at production, then it's all for nothing, right? So, those are two things that I tell people a lot lately is, like, just take a look at what else could we do? Like, how else could we get better? Maybe it's another piece of software. Maybe it's another feature inside your software. Maybe it's just a person, doing something differently. Maybe it's just a tweak of the process, that saves your guys a little bit of time. Like you said, Matt, like, we just talked about this the other day. Like, time is money, really, at the end of the day, right? And we don't often equate the time to a dollar figure. We just say, like, oh, it saves me a week, it saves me a day. But how much is that really saving you if you take it, if you've taken, the cost of an employee and you figure it out? Like, could be saving tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of a year. So, like, do the math, see where you can save some money, because all that stuff helps the bottom line too, right? Like, if we could streamline the process, maybe eliminate or move someone to a different position and be able to streamline a job or something, like, this is all stuff that's going to help, make the whole process easier on your staff, easier for them to implement and maintain it, easier for you to track accountability and data, and and ultimately save on the bottom line. So that would be my biggest advice going into 2025 is just take another look. No matter how good you think you are, you can always take another look, and there's probably something you can do better. So,
yep, I love
Awesome.
it.
Well, Pete, we appreciate you coming on today. We hope to have you back here in a few months just to catch up, see where things are at. And again, we thank the listeners if let the listeners know where they can find you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Pete at RoofR.com. Very simple. So anytime you guys have questions about RoofR, you can hit us up or hit me up, and check us out. We do master classes every other week, pretty much at RoofR. So we got one coming up next Tuesday night. So those are great if you just whether you're a user or not, if you just want to get some insight into the software. It's a great way to kind of get a peek under the hood with us. Nick and I host those, and we're actually doing an Ask Us Anything to start off the year next Tuesday. So that's a great one to attend because we'll have a lot of questions from current users on there. So check those out. And like I said, anytime you got questions about RoofR, just reach out.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Pete.